colonization, slave trade, they were all mind games. And they were diseases targeted at the mind of the African race. It was an attempt to make the African think differently from the way they have always been. It was an attempt to make African deviate from who they are to who exactly the colonial masters want us to be. That was what the attempt was about. So it was a programming, a mind disease programming that has the capacity to move from generation to generation. And that amounts to the level of poverty, decadence that we can find in the African setting. Now, somebody may argue that we're just what we are, we're just who we are. No, we're not just what we are, we're not just who we are. Why is it that some of us today, when we say, I want to give you a free holiday, the first place that comes to our mind is the Bahamas, is Europe, is America, is Dubai. Why not Kenya? Why not Zimbabwe? Why not Lesotho? The coldest place in Africa, whereby you enjoy snow at the first hand in Africa. Why not Jaws? Why not Ogudukatu Ranch? Why America? Why Dubai? Why Singapore? Why Italy? Why Germany? So it's beyond what you think you are thinking today. It has its roots deep in our development. The programming has so much become part of us that we almost cannot differentiate what true African culture is and what true African culture is not. As a matter of fact, today, like I said earlier, the literal translation is when the soup stays too long on the sponge, it becomes part of the body of the sponge. So this, over the years, has been our story. And it must change. And I give it to everyone, a different industry, trying our best to rewrite the narrative and to tell the narrative exactly the way it's supposed to be. No doubt, it's not so much clear yet, but clarity is coming gradually. And the more reason Ori Africa is not also going to keep quiet, but will continue to contribute our quota to telling the narrative of Africans exactly the way it is. It's almost very difficult, some of our children, to know the difference between an African clothing or attire and that of the Western people. An African man does not even know when to use a cap, headgear, bead, ornaments on their body, even how and where, not to talk of our traditional wares. It is time for us to begin and to continue to delve into these matters, showing clarity to our people and letting them know their true identity and the beauty in it, the glory embedded in our identity, our possession, and who we are, and how desirable it is that today the Western people are now coming back to learn some of our language like the Yorubas. Of course, they have achieved their aim over the years. Now, them coming today to say that some of them saying, oh, I'm learning Yoruba. Nothing is wrong with it. We appreciate it. But what we don't appreciate is the fact that at the core of our development, at the point whereby I can call a period where a child is of age and is supposed to begin to exhibit manhood, at that point was when our story as African was written. No hard feelings, we move on. We do not continue to celebrate how far we should have gone, but we will continue to emphasize our potential to the world to see, making sure that they are good enough, our enterprise, so that the West will not just see us as a raw material continent, but a refined continent, not just exporting raw material, but rather exporting refined products, goods, services to the world on a level playing ground, not when a man is holding a gun and the other one is only holding a knife. Of course, we all know who holds the power. So Africans, it is high time for us to wake up to who we are. Let's be proud of our clothes. Let's be proud of our bead. Let's be proud of our headgears and head caps. Let's be proud of our kembes and eshiki. Let's be proud of our skin clothes. Let's be proud of them. And let's be proud of our educational system. Because you will all agree with me that education is not limited to the four walls of classroom. Education begins at home. That's why the Yorubas will say, Ile latin keshorode. Ile latin keshorode. Ọmọ tí a ò bá tọ́ ni ó gbélé tá a bá kọ́tà. Ilé tá a bá fi tọ́mọ, ìrì ni ó wó. Now I'm just going to try and give a literal translation of these three adages, which simply means that learning begins at home. Learning begins at home. An untrained child will become the subject of problem tomorrow. Education for Africans starts from birth, from following mama and baba to the market and to the farm. But in today's terminology, it simply means following baba's footstep in growth until we come of age ourselves, be able to stand and determine what we want to become ourselves. But having a foundation of growth from home. An African man is everly proud of where he comes from. That has always been our pride, and we must keep it so. An African man believes that remember the son of whom you are. Remember where you come from. Remember the values that your lineage hold so dearly. Remember that in Africa, our hands do not deceive us. We walk with them to create values around ourselves. Africa is no shithole without us, Africans, without our land. This particular phone and recording gadgets that are recording me would not have been produced because the raw materials all came from Africa. But what we are emphasizing is the fact that we should stop being a raw material continent. We should transform from being a raw material continent to a productive continent as Africans. This is a conversation that should continue with every one of us. For full video, go to our YouTube to watch it, and let's have your comment in the comment section. Let's discuss this matter. Whatever you agree with, what you don't agree with, and if you have a contribution to it, let's have it in the comment section. At by Ori, guided by Africa. Ori Africa.